Hello everybody, my name is Paul, and we are back with My Hero Ultrarumble, a tier list for Season 12, and we are actually very close to the end of the season, which just takes about like one more month at the very least, or maybe a month and a few weeks. So at that point Mirio is going to come out, but Mirio seems to already have been finalized in terms of the leaks, so he will be included into the tier list. As you can see here, the majority of this is a different thing. I tried to find the old one I usually use, but I cannot find it anymore, so I'll be using this. Now, for the majority of these characters, this first section is without tuning, and the second section is with tuning, so you can check it out if you want. And the reason why I'm not going to show you guys the previous one, because, well, one thing, a lot of things have changed, and our position has changed. Although for some characters, the reasoning on to why I placed them is exactly the same. They'll just be either above or below. And yeah, so let's start off with the yellow Deku. Let's be honest here, let's not kid ourselves. At the very least, this guy is basically S tier for the majority of the reasons that I said before. But last time I put him A tier. He's S tier now because of people just basically using alpha spam, using beta much more smartly, at least if you're trying to fight somebody else. He is pretty much an easy character to handle if you need, but you might need some aiming with gamma, but that's kind of about it. I think S tier is the only reason why is because he can do consistent amount of damage very fast, which, let's be honest, there was a recent buff and a technical balance nerf for him, but that balance nerf is nothing. I played it yesterday, and if you're wondering about the patch notes were about 2 days ago from the time of this recording, or at the very least a week ago by the time this is released. I doubt anything's gonna change because usually ultrarumble does not actually do any additional buffs or nerfs after the initial one, so yeah. Speaking of which, Red Deku does still do a lot of damage, and he's still pretty annoying with the alpha stuff. But unlike Deku, he does have a hard cap where people can get a hard knockdown easier with red instead of yellow. So yeah, as of now, Red Deku is much more lower than S. Maybe he's high A at this point, because the only problem with him is that the lack of mobility in terms of horizontal, I think, or more like lack of forward movements, because he has a lot of height movement, just not forward movement, which is really upsetting. But yeah, nothing really changed about him. He's still really good, and if you really want to, he could be an S tier, but I put him A tier because his movement option is literally not up to par, and while he can actually, he's very good in area control at this point, but he's not the monster that he used to be. He is still super annoying though, so maybe low S if we can get more characters here. From Bakugo, wow, okay, well, got a little ad here. Yeah, tier list maker still has this problem. Rapid Strike Bakugo did actually have a major buff, which is his health increase, so he's much better compared to him like he was like 2 seasons ago. He is much better with the +1 gamma, and of course his health. He's basically a pretty good monster on the field now. How good is he? He is much more stronger and harder to kill. I do think that he has a better survivability than Red Deku at the very least, at least in my opinion. I did play him in a few matches, and it's much more easier to survive. It's not that much easier to kill though, but you have a higher chance to either run away at the very least, or try to squeeze out a KO. Rapid Bakugo is still pretty much a monster, and it's kind of funny how these four are just kind of switched over like this. Rapid Bakugo, if he has a very high skill ceiling, but if you master him, he's a beast. Normally I will put him A for the average player, but in terms of his kit and how well people play him right currently, yeah, I think low S tier at the very least. I do think he's above Yellow Deku because while he's not too consistent, he can pepper damage and have teammates basically finish the job much more easier, or just have a good crowd control. Not the best, but he has much lower movement. Makes sense because he's a rapid. Now next is the two Ochakos. Now, previously, Rapido Choco I would put as A because that was before, and let's just go for Assault because, that was S. Now, I do believe that Assault Choco barely got jack shit, and while she got a balanced nerf, it's good, but it's not enough to stop her. And while Rapido Choco did get the balanced nerf as well, because about these two, they got the same nerf, biggest problem, people can still instantly kill you with this. They just need to modify it, and there's too many of them, really. I do think that these two might need a nerf, but in terms of the placement, yes, around S tier, and this is very concerning for me because, again, I would put Rapid on bottom A, and then Assault maybe maybe still here, but I don't know. Ida didn't get any change. He got a buff for his alpha, which is just a faster reload. Makes him a bit more annoying, but he's not too annoying. I'm going to be honest, most around here, he is still pretty annoying to deal with, and he is one of the faster characters in the game, but he has low health. He can still be killed easily, yada yada yada. You know the drill, Ida. He is just pretty annoying, but I played him a few times. The alpha does actually help with survivability in terms of people who could actually pepper you like any of the S tiers here, which is surprising because Yellow Deku would not be able to actually hit Ida that much, but I think more experienced players can still do that, and I think a lot of people are actually using him and using his own strength, which is consistency, to overpower most of these characters, and I think that's what Yellow Deku has, which is unfortunate. Makes sense, but for again, Yellow Deku is basically like the Mario of the game, the all-rounder, but I think maybe too much. Let's not kid ourselves. Red total rookie is just... Listen, you can instantly do 300 damage with just 2 buttons, and that's still the problem. Not to mention that he still has the multi-hits with... He does have multi-hit power with super low down power, which would kill a lot of people even if they're frozen. After a hard knockdown, he could just follow up again sooner or later, but I'm going to be a little generous with Red. Technically speaking, you could still kill him because his only movement option, if he uses that and then he uses his Gamma to just run away, it'll take a while for him to turn around, which makes an opportunity for you to at least catch up to him just barely. But I would just be careful with Red, and the only reason why is because his alpha shots are a bit too narrow, to say the least, to actually shoot, more like sniper shots, but that's still high pots of damage. And I'll tell you the same with Purple, basically the same reason, except he doesn't have the instant 300 damage. His beta is still pretty annoying, but you can technically dodge it, but it's still basically a good anti-air, his beta. Not to mention his alpha is bigger, not much damage, but it's bigger basically too. And it does about the same damage. And Gamma is still pretty useful in terms of getting people down quicker, like finishing off people quicker and blocking projectiles. But yeah, for me personally, I used to play these two both. I did change my button layout, which I cannot aim anymore, so I cannot play Purple as much as I want to. Still, fighting Purple is really annoying, especially close quarters, but you guys already know that. Poppy got a buff. Well, there's invisibility, which increases her speed, which is good. She needs that. The one thing she doesn't need is an alpha buff. The alpha buff, she gets 1 more ammo for her tongue. And you know what? That makes her basically a menace back on the field. So she, with that +1 alpha, she basically became her season 1 through 3 self in ultrarumble. Like she's back of being a menace in the playing field, because before, like, not much people play her, but now a lot more people play her because now she has a better chasing ability, which she really does not need. And of course, like, she can be dealt with before, and she used to have 3. one by max, I think. Now she has about 4 or 5. I don't really remember, but it's more than the 3 I counted before. And listen, if she misses any, she can just readjust herself, and of course she can still use the mix-up play, while her beta does not have an increased ammo, thankfully. Unfortunately, that means she can chase you better, and yeah, she can chase you just a bit more better. Makes it really unnecessary compared to Ida. Yeah, she's better in terms of the buffs she got. But listen, for some reason, every single prophy I've seen, I would have put her A tier because of the buff, but seeing how everybody it has a much easier time, like, trust me, when I say like Sui, just like before the buff, like people still play her. She was annoying, but it was justified because most of them use Gamma. Now you have Gamma plus Alpha for extra traversability, and then you have her in S tier. How good is she? I do think that she is super annoying, right? And because she has too much mobility, and the only thing is that she has better consistency than Deku. I do think that the others are better only because they're stronger than her. And if she has any more power boost, a power buff, we're basically doomed. You can tell that most of this list is S and A tier, thanks for the recent buffs. Is there any nerfs? Yes, we'll get to that, but I don't know. I'm really upset that this S tier list is already this high, honestly, even with the in order of characters. Okay, enough complaining. Hiroshima. At least the Assault, I still think he's good, like he's at least A tier material, but that's on paper now. If this wasn't any other season, he would still be A tier, but right now, this, yeah, even with the buff of his special action, which he cannot be flinched out anymore, he's dropped off considerably, and that's sad. He can still hit hard. He's still the hardest hitting character. He's still one of the hardest hitting characters. It's just that he has no projectiles, and he's mostly a grounded character. Not like exactly like Shiki as a ground character, but a grounded character nonetheless. And since a lot of characters, basically, even the newer characters have multi-hits and ranged attacks, he would have a hard time trying to get up close and personal. Even his super armor even his armor on his beta doesn't really justify anything. In terms of the meta in the game, he is basically D tier, but I'll give him C tier. At the very least, I still seen some yellow Kiris out there, and they are still really, really good and really, really annoying. The only thing about it is that you would have to need the upper hand, get the first hit in, and play smart. That's basically the only way you can make this mid-tier to a high tier, basically. And it's mostly player experience at this point, but in terms of like currently now, she's not your best option. Cannot just say the same for this one though. Yeah, Red Kiri is pretty annoying. I don't think he's S tier material as people would say. I think A is like the best. He has better movement, he can get up close and personal much more faster than Assault, and he has Rocks, which is a projectile which can snipe. It's harder, but it's better. And also he has a shield that does big range, and his main combos are still a thing, while Assault is just a one-punch guy, which is not bad, but in the current state of the game, it's not viable. I honestly think I will play Assault Kiri again, Assault Kiri again soon, just to see if he is as bad as I thought. But I might go to casual, because in ranked, nobody picks him in ranked. But only somebody unfortunate who wants to prove something would choose this, and hey, more power to you. I do think that he could be B tier at the very least, but C is what I'm gonna put him on. It's a little sad. Momo. Let's not kid ourselves here. And you already know why I would put her in A, but in terms of everything else here, actually no. Last time she would be high A, might put her in S, but she's about like low upper A in the very least, her cannons are still a big threat, and of course they have to survive a bit. Her cannons have more health, and her alpha is still the most annoying thing ever. They did do a balance nerf, but that does not work anymore. The alpha balance nerf, which increases the down power. Increases down power. It does not do anything. It still stuns you. It's basically an anti-air type of attack, and it's just so annoying. At least it's not too annoying that she can just overpressure you and almost take your shield away, but having at least a quarter of your shield gone, or at least half your shield gone, is still pretty annoying. Let's be about the same reasons why both of these, they can basically instantly stun people if needed, yada yada yada. You know the drill, you know Kaminari. I think Kaminari, at the very least, this type of Kaminari, not much better than Bakugo, I would say. Maybe a bit biased there, but he can still pack a punch, which is almost unnecessary. It did not change, and he does too much damage for his own good. Same thing with Purple, but Purple does less damage, but he can stun people. But Alpha is still the most annoying thing in the world, and there's a lot more play with Kaminari here. He can basically kill you by just pressuring you with the homing attack alphas, which I'm gonna be honest for myself here. Technically it's more consistent than the other characters in S tier. He's not the definite high S tier, but in terms of range, he has the range to basically make up for almost everything. But he's not the absolute top 8 S tier, basically. I might move him down later, we'll have to see. Even with the recent nerf to his health, he's still a monster, and because he has all the options for all the other characters down here. Yeah, I don't think I need to say more. Kendo. Okay, this Kendo is still pretty good, but okay. It depends. You have to play smart with her at this point. She has the same problems as Kiri, but the main difference is one thing. She has a faster running speed. She has a shield, and her clap has super armor. Even though it's delayed, still need to fix the big clap though. Still need to fix that. It needs to hit on contact, not like 2 seconds afterwards. I don't know. Is she really B tier? For now, I'll put her here. I am almost obliged to put her low A, but I don't know. Red Kendo, technically not much better. If you want to have like a consistent playthrough, Assault Kendo is like your best bet, because Strike Kendo, she's good early game, but in terms of late game, her range and her movement might be the downfall of her. Her range and movement are the downfall for this Red Kendo, because listen, the beta's range is super long, super far. Not to mention her Gamma, the spinning top helicopter move, has a lot of vertical height. But in terms of horizontal movement, I mean, yes, and she's a little easy to control. But you're not gonna exactly hit anybody if they're gonna be in the air, and it might take some time, basically. And while you have a lot of super armor on those moves, in terms of a consistent damage output, maybe not. If anything, her only hard-hitting move is, not including the counters, is just her alpha. You actually need to catch people off guard in the air. But with that in mind, while she is good early game and just average in end game, at the very least she still has the tools to actually put people down instantly. So not much of a threat, and you can level up pretty fast, basically. Unlike Kendo, who needs to at least have a good amount of levels in order to be good, consistently. I mean, she's consistent, yes, but in terms of red Kendo, yeah, yellow Kendo is not exactly that good. But how high I would put her? See, here's the thing. She doesn't have the damage negation shield like yellow, but she has damage reduction, which is basically a counter that gets stronger. And she doesn't experience any knockback, and any grabs will be reflected, or at least canceled, just like her big shield. I'm gonna be generous, and this is just, and that's saying something. They might put her here, because I do think that at the very least, in terms of the S tiers currently, Froppy could still make a pretty hard time for her. Ibarra kind of fallen off, but she does have better healing range. They did buff her special action. Low A at the very least, because her special action is an instant revive, and with the right tuning build, she can be good. But this is just based off of no tuning. I'm just gonna have to say that. This is based off of no tuning. And I'm only putting her S tier because she has 2 revives and they have a bigger range, so she is the best reviver of the entire roster. So yeah. High skill ceiling if you want to master Mirio, but Mirio is still a pretty much of a monster in the entire game still, because of his movement and his hit and run playstyle basically. But a lot of people made him aggressive, and his shield got a buff, like his gamma got a buff where you can just spam it multiple times now, which is good. And let's be honest, it's just harder to hit him again. Really, it just makes him much more harder to hit, which is not a big problem, but he can still get down pretty easily. But if you're in the air, he's still much of a problem if he's going to use the alpha combo on you, which a lot of people are using the standard normal charge and not the super max charge of his alpha, which is technically a better strategy, but is much more annoying to deal with. How good is he? Well, last time I would have put him maybe close to Monoma, but with the most recent people playing the characters and fighting against them, for me personally, I think playing these two, for me personally, I do think Mirio is better than the Ochakos. But in terms of kill potential, the Ochakos have a much better time than Mirio, which is a little bit upsetting, especially since Mirio still has a pretty much a low HP pool. Nejire, I'll be honest, Nejire is now just team dependent. If I'm going to be honest, again, I will put her C. She does have a lot of high power potential, and she can basically snipe kills if needed by being unsuspecting, but her main priority right now in the game, there's a team ability with Tamajiki. Yeah, god, I almost forgot his name. I'm sorry, Tamajiki, Sun Eater. Yeah, she has a team mechanic with him where she can use her alpha to boost up his gamma, which is good. But in terms of just herself, with the right amount of tuning, she can be a monster. But her standard base self, she's underperforming a little bit much more, just above Kiri at the very least. Tamajiki, he's an S tier for sure. Beta is super big, turns visible for extra speed, just like with Froppy. His alpha has a tipper, very hard to hit, but it does big damage. Aiming with the alpha is a tether grab. I hate tether grabs, and if you know about tether grabs in this game, they're pretty much very hard to deal with. And gamma is just a big Kamehameha, let's be honest here, and it's super cool, super fun. It's understandable why people hate it, but it's just too much fun to use. How good is he? He's better than the Ochakos, but you can argue for any of the Ochakos would be in other positions from him. He is definitely, I think, lower than some of the other S tiers. While he has a better moveset and a better all-round moveset with a big, hard-hitting multi-hit gamma compared to some of the others. He can still be outranged, and once you have his gamma, you could cancel it to get out of it faster, but you're just basically a sitting duck just floating in the air. And if they find you, it's game over basically. But he's only S tier because of his other movements and just his raw power alone. And of course his tether and then his tipper for alpha. His gamma is just basically a, just a casual like, oh, here you go, here's a big strong move that you can just use whatever you like. It's not really important to use in the game, but if you want to use it, that's fine. His gamma is also good to sniping people, and it goes through walls, and it's super annoying, but not too annoying. You can still deal with him. Sometimes it's just dependent on characters, just like the Ochakos or Mirio, or if you have a good team with you. Also, just like other tether characters could harm him as well. So yeah. Shinzo. The reason why Shinzo is still S tier for obvious reasons. Alpha tether, beta is just super annoying. Special action if it hits, super annoying. Gamma is also super annoying. That's about it. He is just super annoying, and he does super high amounts of damage. Still, not much thing major there, which is very, very unfortunate for other people. But he's lower than Monoma specifically because Monoma at least has a second skill set and you can just copy a Shinzo, which makes him a bit better. But I guess if you really want to think about like survivability, Shinzo has a better survivability just because of HP and has higher HP compared to Monoma. But Monoma has 2 options to get away if he has the correct options. Yeah. But Shinzo's still pretty annoying. There's not many Shinzos left, but any Shinzo you see, basically, they still play the same, just like the last season and the season before. They really did not touch him. In some ways that's good, but other ways that's pretty much bad. Especially with basically smart Shinzos, or Shinzos paired with a Monoma, or Shinzos paired with a Kamijiki. Those are basically the main 3 monsters in the entire game, basically. So just be careful if you see Shinzo, because they can basically wipe the flow with you still, which is unfortunate again. All Might, he's still pretty much the same. They did balance nerf his alpha, which is one thing, but that's his main hit. The area effect does not change. If I'm gonna be honest, he's low A. He did fall off a bit because of how everybody else is playing. He is still a monster on the field, don't get me wrong, and he's still good. I made a whole video already about the 2 different All Mights, and this All Might's still pretty much good against a whole team 1v3 style. But yeah, survivability is not looking too good. He does need the HP buff. He definitely needs it just to survive a little longer, considering the competition right now with the other tiers, but high A is pretty okay. Rapid All Might. Now, before, I would put Rapid All Might at least in high B tier, at the very least. But here's the thing. There's not much change, right? There's not much change. Don't know why the ad pops up, but while there's not much change for him, the players surrounding the game, yeah, you don't see Rapid All Might anymore, and that's because he did fallen off because of the newer characters. But here's the thing. Kamijiki, Rapid All Might food. Assault Endeavor, Rapid All Might food. Anybody who stays in the air is Rapid All Might food. Not to mention that a lot of people just likes the alpha, and they're only scared of the alpha. And that's the problem. The only thing bad about him is literally just the gamma, because gamma does not protect him from getting tethered, does not protect from input lag, from game lag. For some reason that's still a thing, or does not protect him because people can still use the down power on him, so you can still hit him and he can get knocked off pretty easily, unless of course you're also Overhaul, who can just slap him away and grab. It's a little annoying, yes, but if the gamma does not connect, it doesn't do jack shit. So that's why also All Might's better. However, with the current state of the game, and there's barely, and I mean barely, any rapid All Mights anymore, at least to my games, it kind of makes sense. He's basically top A tier. You can, and if you're lucky enough, you could just literally melt everybody in S tier. Maybe not maybe not Tech Shoto, but you can still pretty much melt everybody in the S tier. But you have to play smart, and unfortunately, he's not good in a team setting. You would actually need to do the hit and run tactic, and the hit and run tactic for Rapid All Might is the most viable playstyle for him now, which is unfortunate because while I do use the hit and run style in terms of 1v1s, I would always go aggressive and use some tricks to basically get All Might to kill fast. And I did that before with a whole team before as well, but I just got lucky because those characters that I fight were basically much more doable. If I had to go 1v1 at any of these characters, I would lose instantly. Like, yeah, he doesn't have much survivability. He does not have the tank buff as Yellow All Might. But yeah, he's still pretty good, and I think a lot of people now do underestimate him. But he's not S tier material, especially not now. And compared to maybe the rest of these characters, it's literally just iffy, but he has a lot of movement, and a lot of movement he does, and that's good. But unfortunately, there's a lot of other characters who can catch up to him, which is why you can see some of these, it's like these S tier characters have better catching ability compared to like the others. Reikiri is the only other one that could technically catch up to Rapid All Might better, but yeah, I do think Rapid All Might is still good. It's just situational at this point. But if you really think he's good in high rank players, like if you see, if you're playing Rapid All Might as an ace rank player, I don't know how you're doing it, but I think at the very least, Rapid All Might will only get you to expert compared to Yellow All Might, which would be harder, but at least he is more useful as an ace rank character, if I'm going to be honest. But in terms of every other character, I probability in this one. Why? Okay, Best Buy really likes to put up their ads, huh? Okay. I'm going to try to make this quick, because all this is pretty much iffy. So in the B tier, listen, Aizawa would have been in high A to low S tier, but he does have a damage nerf. But let's be honest, that damage nerf is just jack shit. I do think he's still like at least mid A. He's not high A or S tier anymore. If he still has his damage, like if he still has the same amount of damage he did, and listen, even though the damage that's taken away because of the nerf to Aizawa, it's still pretty high, but at least not as high, and it doesn't like guarantee a shield break and some health. It's almost shield break, which is good. But he's still super annoying, and if you have an Aizawa in your team comp, and if they're a good player, you basically are almost guaranteed to win the game because of his special action. A lot of people are utilizing him because of Tamajiki and Endeavor. Maybe Mirio in the future. Present Mike. He's pretty much mid A, but now he's low A. Even with the HP nerf, he's now 300, now 350. He can still do a shit ton of damage, and he is a high damage character still. So, gonna keep him here. He's still A-ish, basically. Cementos has no change. He's high B tier. But the more case is that yes, he can be low A, but he's basically high B because again, his moves, his structures, his walls do block his own teammates. So playing him, you have to play smart, and because he's mostly like a detriment to the team as well still. But if you're 1v1ing him, it makes him harder to kill. And of course, he is basically a good support. but using it correctly, if you basically play your cards right, you can actually without pinging or communicating with your team, block your teammates' view from the opponent, and that's what they can do is contact. That should signify for them that you're telling them to let's just go away, let's retreat, no need to fight, and that's pretty much good. But you might remember me saying he should be like low A tier because of how good a lot of people are using him now. What's the problem? Kamachiki. And of course some other characters who can actually pierce through walls. Yeah, a lot of other characters now can pierce through walls. Like again, and mostly it's Tamajiki. His structures are basically a death trap at that point. So B tier is basically the most likely. I would put him in C tier, but B tier because he does have a good amount of power with him, and he has a revive. So yeah. Strike Endeavor is still pretty good, but he did technically fallen off thanks to Assault Endeavor. His beta is still pretty much his best thing. His alpha is more of a keep away tool, and his prominence burn, the gamma, is pretty much a lower version of Kamajiki's gamma, which is funny, but still pretty much a good monster if in the right hands. I think I've fallen off with this Endeavor, honestly, because ever since I got Assault Endeavor, Strike Endeavor was like falling off for me for some reason, but I think it's because his is more targeted range, and while this other Endeavor right here is more AoE range. So it just depends on playstyle, much more so than the All Mights. I would say I will argue high mid A, but I think high B is fine just because of the competition currently right now. He does have good he has a good stay back ability, and he is a good counter to Mirio if you play him right. But with some of the other characters here, he does do much more better than Assault. But in terms of killing people faster, yeah, no. Now the game now kind of requires you to kill people much more faster than normal. And that's technically the thing. If you've seen all these other characters, the majority of the high tier characters are characters that can actually finish their opponents much more faster. In Endeavor, he does big damage, and he could potentially. He's technically more of a pressure. He's more of a pressure plus 1v1 plus area control type of character, but like semi-area control. Let's do Assault Endeavor, and I'll do a comparison. So basically, in Assault Endeavor, he does have he has better area control in terms of alpha, his beta, and his gamma. His gamma is super big, and it does multi-hit. It technically goes through walls, but it really just depends. They might have to fix that. But his beta is basically a mega trap. It does a bit of damage, but it sucks you in, and mistiming the escape does actually deal damage. The alpha is just basically mini Shiggy beta. Does burn damage on the ground burns you, and the main fist does good amount of damage. Basically, he's just assault only, but better. But yeah, he's good at 1v1s if you play him right, but that's the difference. Strike Endeavor has a better 1v1 chance than this guy. But this guy can kill more people faster and in groups than this guy. But in terms of survivability, this guy has a harder time basically trying to escape compared to other characters. But the one thing he does have above is slight movement from his gamma, because in Strike Endeavor's gamma that's in place, his gamma he can just float around slightly. It's not that much better, but technically it's okay. The only thing is beta that keeps him in place, but for the most part, beta shouldn't be too much of a problem, because once you fire it, it instantly downs you. There is a bug, however, And this is why I cannot put him in S tier. I would like to put him S tier because he's just that good. But if I'm going to be honest, he is mostly this range, mid-A. Assault Endeavor is guaranteed mid-A, and the reason why is this. For one thing, all the weaknesses I said, because most of his strengths are just better version strengths than this guy, and he has a better crowd control and a better team fight than 1v1s, but he can still wipe out teams by himself if you play him right and if you have a good amount of air in the air. But he can still be grabbed, so that's still a weakness. He can still get rushed down, which is also a weakness from the mid tiers. He can still get beamed down. He can still get hit a lot. He gets hit more easily than Strike, and that's because he is slower. The only reason why he's up this high is literally because the damage output, the area control effect, and of course, if you pair with Monoma, yeah, he's good. And of course, you have to play him smart. But here's the thing. He can basically carry you if you're soul healing in like rank. That's a guarantee. But once you hit like gold 4 or expert, he starts to fall off immensely, where you actually need a team built around him. Now, I'm not saying that he needs a team. If I would say he needs a team, he will be C tier. I'm just saying that once you get a higher ranks, a lot more people are going to be playing these higher tier characters, making him much more harder to actually get away. He has a slower speed than Strike, and yeah, I'm going to be honest. It is very hard to where I want to put him, because on paper he's S tier, in technical practice he's B tier, but comparing to Strike Endeavor, he's basically 8th. He's basically like mid-A tier at the very least. And I would say that if you play your cards right, he would be high A tier, and Strike and Assault Endeavor is better than Rapid All Might. But in terms of actual fights, I think Rapid All Might might beat him much more, and for other characters, that's basically much the same. But yeah, all you can see, these characters can actually pepper him out of the sky pretty much faster, which is why he stays in most of the time. And his playstyle, you're actually most likely to actually have to protect the team like an actual tank. You're not supposed to basically be soloing around the area. But that depends on your teammates and depends on you. It's really hard to think, honestly. I think there's not much to be said here, but he is still high C tier. A lot more people are playing him better. Just yeah. Mountain Lady got a buff and 2 nerfs, so overall technically balanced, but she did fall off. Gamma Beta does well less damage, Alpha does more damage, but she can go giant in the beginning of the game. High B tier. Technically the same place as she's been before. Same reasons why I would say he's D tier to C tier, but a lot more people are playing smartly now and learn new tricks. And because of the air superiority, if you have a good team with 2 aerial combatants, you can just be the ground trap on the ground. High B tier. At the very least, high B tier. Endgame, he's still a monster, but once you fight any of the aerial combatants or any of the tier characters here, you're basically off. Assault G. Same thing, same rules, all that stuff, but now he's more of an aerial combatant, and that's the only reason why he's higher. But if you really want to argue, you can actually switch this guy to low A and this guy to high B, but it depends on you. I think this is why I will put them. Assault Shiki is still pretty much annoying to fight because he's more of an aerial combatant, but Red Shiki is better in terms of team comp if the correct team comp exists, and of course his high tick damage. That's about it. He had a buff, but let's be honest, it's not much. Okay, Purple Dobby. He has a buff, but it's just an alpha buff. 1 extra ammo. That's all. I think this is a good placement. He's not in the C. I think he's at the same placement as before. Basically a B tier. That's kind of about it. He's red Dobby still has the bug, but they did fix it to a point. They did fix the bug to a point, so that's good. He is better. Just he has fallen off. He is not the monster of an A tier or S tier anymore. He has definitely fallen off, considering that he can get killed very, very easily. But he can still do high amount of damage, and he has a more better aggressive play compared to purple. So yeah, I think I B tier. The only reason why she's really up here is literally because her beta does too much damage for her own good, but technically it's her only good move. She can transform to other characters here, but still about the same. He's pretty bad, but averagely bad. Good even. Okay, next one is Rapid Toga. Yeah, let's be honest. Yeah, she's still up here. Yeah, she's more like up here, basically. Still pretty annoying. Oh, Twice. Twice can still do lots of fucking baller damage, but he is fallen off in terms of combos. He's fallen off in terms of ability. He is fallen off in terms of actual power. His only good thing about him is that his high damage combo with Gamma Beta is AI of Beta, and that's about it, and also cloning. But you definitely need a team now. He is literally like this high. Like, yeah, he's just this high now. Before I would put it like last 2 times I put him in S, then beforehand I might put him in A because of the recent nerfs. But he got a buff for alpha, but it's not enough. And with the recent play, I played Twice a few times. He has fallen off considerably because he did get a shadow nerf on the range of his gamma. His range of his gamma got nerfed, shadow nerfed basically. And yeah, and then he got a buff for alpha that just gives him more ammo, but that's not enough, like definitely not enough. He has fallen off considerably, which is a little sad. Compress. You see more compress. You see more compress now, and he does play pretty good. And I played him before. He is good now, considering the current meta in the game. I do think IB is good. Overhaul. He's still in the low S tier. He can heal himself, but nobody really suspects his gamma anymore, which is kind of funny. So he can catch people off guard much more better with him now. And he has the range to actually finish people off. I would also, but I'm going to be maybe generous to some of you, or maybe generous to some overall players. I think he is low S tier material. I just don't think he is currently. And that's because not a lot of people are playing him or not playing correctly. But in terms of the current meta, I can see why he's not too viable, but his healing, his auto heal does make him survive longer and can keep people off guard. You just need to be in buildings at the very least. In terms of fighting against Kamachiki, like yeah, you can actually kill him pretty easily. In the Endeavor, you can kill him pretty easily. I think it's just the other S tier characters are actually holding him back, especially Mirio. And that's kind of the problem here. But yeah, high skill level, very busted at high skill play because he has a lot of potential and his beta has been buffed for considerable damage. A lot of people found that little thing and exploited because it's a little much more annoying, and he can still use that annoying combo with beta with the gamma as well, because gamma can shoot beta without consuming stuff. Well, consuming his normal beta, just gamma meter. In that case, and of course he can teleport people, revive them, and considering team comp, he's pretty good. I do think now that he is basically low S tier at the very least. And considering that, I think Opal is this. I'm just kidding, he's this, yeah. Opal is high A at the very least. Now, as you can see here, the list has changed considerably without tuning. Where do I put Mirio? Do you really want me? Yeah, if you come on, we all know this. So yeah, I do think that this Mirio will be high S tier. Listen, they basically finalized him at this point. In terms of recording, the leaks already confirmed that he's been finalized. There might be a new nerf patch for him, balance patch, but after that, most likely just his normal moves. If you've seen the leaks, his alpha is just infinite height, and his beta just hard hitting move, and then his gamma is just invincibility plus counter. That's about it. Okay, and that is basically the no tuning tier list. As you can see here, with no tuning and with just player skill alone, this is the thing. A lot more characters are S and A tier just because of how busted they are. Most of the S characters because of how busted they are. In the A tiers, if you're playing them correctly and smartly. As for the Bs, the B tiers are more like wild cards. C tiers is if you want to prove something, and D tier is just, yeah. I'm not saying that he's outdated or anything. I just think that with the current buffs and nerfs that are just out now, he's not that good. You could pair him with Monoma. If these two are in a team, then he would be a bit higher. I'll actually be generous to One For All. I do think at the very least he's high C tier at the very least. Rethinking about this, because his gamma could just keep these guys away. They're not going to do that much damage to him at the very least, so yeah, that's just me. Now that's basically the no tuning. What about with tuning? This is going to be very quick. Okay, so this is a section for just normal tuning, right? Just tuning, what's the best tuning skills. Now here's the thing, for Mirio specifically, I'm going to put him down here because we need to know. Prediction for him is basically still the S tier range, but I'm going to put him out of the question because we don't know exactly what tuning skills are good with him. If we're just going to base off of rapid, he might be the same with S tier, but not that by much. Okay, S tier tuning. About everybody here is basically the same. Overall the same. It's the same. Kiri moves up here but a little lower. Momo basically Momo is basically the same. Or this guy is basically up here. Bakugo is basically up here. That's same for you too. He basically goes up a bit more. Aizawa basically now is basically here. And this guy is right here. This guy's right here. She's basically right here technically because she got fallen off. Yellow All Might's basically still here. In terms of tuning, better than this guy. President Mike, he got the HP nerf, so basically he's over here. He stays here. He goes up here because now he has a tank build available for him. He's basically pretty good, so he can be a high A tier. Dobby, he's actually gonna stay here. Mount Lady, she's up here. Red Endeavor, he's gonna be up here as well. Cemental stays the same but higher than Purple Dobby. Purple Dobby stays to here. She basically goes up a tier from here. All for One surprisingly has a good amount right now, so he's actually top. He's actually a good spot in B tier. Toga, say same here. He's still the same here. Twice is a B. Midray is A, and then Kiri is B. I'm not going to say which specific tunings, but now it's time to readjust. So, Kiri here. Yeah, this way, Bakugo this way. Kaminari is this way. This way, yeah. Assault Endeavor. No, Assault Endeavor is like low S tier for sure. And Red Deku was also here too. Anyway, just here. There we go. Any adjustments here? Nope. And nope. Okay, that's about it. This is the section for no tuning. And this is our no tuning whatsoever. Prediction for Mirio. He is going to be lower. If he is going to share the same tuning skills, but I do think that he requires a different set compared to our regular Mirio. So, but yeah, I'm going to put him here because tuning is one thing we don't know how good it's going to be. We just know his base power and his base no tuning skill stuff. So yeah. So a few minutes ago, that was non-tuning. This is with tuning. And yeah, that's about it for the video. My name is Sapo. I'll see you guys next time. And this is most likely the final tier list because compared to the previous tier list I made, not much support compared to last time. And I think it's because, well, this season is not exactly the best. But I think I'll actually stop doing these tier lists for now. Unless I don't have anything else, I'll make another one. But I think for the upcoming anniversary season, I don't think I'll be making more videos that actually solidify something like this. That because, well, I don't have much time to play because I'll be back in college for the final time. Other than that, thank you all for watching, and hopefully this will tell you who to play for now. Once Mirio comes out officially, unless he did, then good luck to you. Everything's subject to change. They could have just given another patch right now, but this was like the previous. This was just the newest patch 2 days ago from this time recording. So yeah, this is in August. Enough said.